Mack Wilbourn has been the owner and president of Mack 2 Incorporated, a quick service restaurant management company since 1971. His current franchises include Atlanta Bread and Bar, Baja Fresh Mexican, Famiglia Pizza, Phillips Seafood, Popeyes, and We Juice It, which are all located within the Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. Mr. Wilbourn is also the managing partner of MWJ LLC, a vending company here in Atlanta, and he has also managed all the Coca-Cola vending locations throughout the Atlanta airport since 2004. So as I understand it, every Coca-Cola vending opportunity that you see is managed by his company. Mr. Wilbourn also started a small angel investment firm where he focuses on startup businesses and helping them to potentially compete and get to the next level with the proper guidance and strategic resources. His invaluable experience in the restaurant industry started at one of his first jobs at his youth in Jack in the Box, and in 1971, along with his partner, Brad Hubbard, he became one of the first minority McDonald's franchisees in the Atlanta area, and as I understand it, in the southern states. 4 McDonald's restaurants and over 151 employees later, and 21 years, they sold their McDonald's operation in 1992. He's earned numerous awards and recognition throughout his career. You can Google him. And in 2011, he was awarded the Corporation of the Year by the Atlanta Business League. Mr. Wilbourn has also been a longtime political supporter. He's hosted 3 Democratic presidents in his beautiful home. Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, and most recently President Barack Obama, as well as former Vice President and presidential hopeful Joe Biden. He served the Atlanta Business League, the Butler Street YMCA, the Urban League, NAACP, the Atlanta Zoo, among a host of other organizations that he supports. So without further ado, Mr. Mack Wilbourn.
Peace.
Peace. Peace. How you doing?
Great.
So let me guess, you're supporting Joe Biden?
Just waiting on November 4th.
Right. Yeah, that's good, man. That's good.
Every day. This is my new uniform for the last 90 days. Every day.
I see. Yeah, when we chatted the other day, you were wearing a Joe Biden and Kamala Harris merch too.
I got a different combination every day.
Yeah. Well, I dig the support.
I did Kamala's first fundraiser also when she was running for Senate.
Really? You did it here in Atlanta?
At my home.
Oh, really? Okay.
I'll show you the picture when we finish.
Okay. Look, so I do have to tell you all that we are in Mr. Wilbourn's beautiful home here in Atlanta, in 2 different spaces, so we keep socially distant throughout the conversation. And Mr. Wilbourn, I told you we're going to get to a few things. The first part of our conversation is wordplay, which is an icebreaker. I told you I was going to throw some words at you. So, and just to get your thoughts, and so the audience can kind of understand how you think about a few things. So are you ready? Let's do it. All right. First one, American politics.
Okay, American politics. When I came to Atlanta in 1971, I didn't know shit about politics.
Right.
I never been involved. But one of the coolest things that I learned here, you had a Black community that had Black Republicans and Black Democrats, but they got along. T.M. The Alexander family was a big Republican. He was appointed by President Nixon for the HUD. But it was still a combination of getting along. And when the next president came along and it was a Democrat, whoever was appointed to that, but it was more a camaraderie than it is now.
Got it. So
Which
there's
is
a little
sad. Huh?
It's a little divisive now.
Very.
Yeah. Okay.
Under the current circumstances, I can understand that.
Right. Yeah, I can too. So let's go into our next one. Social media.
I don't know how to turn on a computer, but I know how to tell you to tell it to do for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have any profiles?
I don't know.
Potentially. Somebody manages that for you. Somebody manages
Yeah.
that for you.
Right.
I got you. Okay. Reparation. There's supposed to be an S here, but there was no more space. Reparations.
My thing is, we need to do our own reparation
Mm.
because if we ran our communities the way we should, give you one of my best examples is Pascal's and Chick-fil-A started about the same time.
Yeah.
There are two Pascals and there are 2,000 Chick-fil-A's. What happened? Okay. Started right here in Atlanta. And
Yep.
when I go back, I lived in LA, I lived in Arizona, and I was born in Arkansas. When I look at LA and look at the operations of food or businesses there, I haven't seen that family or that continuous business and growing the business and making it more professional. It
Right.
doesn't happen, to me, it's our fault.
Got it.
The one corporation that I would say, and it's the only family in town that I don't know, it's the Bonner Brothers. I
Yeah.
think they've done an amazing job. I knew the father when I first moved here, and it was Hunter Street at that time.
Yeah.
I knew him, but I didn't really, after he passed, I never got to know the sons. But what I've seen them do and have done, I think is just the way it should be.
Do you believe in reparations or no?
We have to work through it.
We got to work through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's real. All right. Ice Cube. Did you hear his recent?
No, I don't watch TV and I don't keep up with that.
Okay, so the reason I put Ice Cube in here is he's gotten into a little fire recently for working with the Trump campaign on a number of initiatives that are specifically targeted to help the African American community. And there were some people who were giving him a lot of flack for that on social media. So I didn't know if you had any thoughts about that or not, but I don't want to sway your perspective before you see it.
Okay. I don't have to see it. I think President Trump will do and tell you anything you want to hear. It's the afterwards, what's going to happen. When you think about it, he's been sued 4,000 times plus.
Right.
And we still elect him as president. He has been very dis to women, females, and we still elect him to be our leader. That is not normally the American way. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And what he has talked about, what he has done for Black colleges, I don't know that to be true. I haven't seen any of them with a lot of money that they can rebuild their buildings.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Appreciate the answer. All right. This might be my last one. Last one. Money.
What about money?
What do you think of it? Very general question.
Well, we have to respect money, and money will respect us if we respect it. And meaning we get money, and then we get, Fucci and Gucci. I mean, I look at the epidemic that we've just went through.
Yeah.
Right now, in the last 30 days, last 45 days, any day that I go to the airport, there are more Black people flying than ever, ever, ever before.
Okay.
Normally, we would have 200,000 people in the airport on a given day.
Right.
Might be 5,000 Black people.
Right.
Now you have 10 to 15,000 every day flying. And if you go to Lenox, we're lined up. So the money that we received from the government, we went back and gave it to white folks right back. Because if you go to Lenox, Phipps, and shop, you're giving it right back. And I know people say, well, I want a Gucci and I want a Fucci. Bump Gucci and Fucci. I want to have a quality of life
Right.
and a home. Rather than having a home, but I'd rather have a fast car or a pretty car that I can ride around in. So
I should have put Gucci here. That's
huh?
one of the words. I should have put Gucci as one of the words. You have thoughts on Gucci. Gucci and Fucci. But no, I appreciate that. So very simple. That was wordplay just to get us going, and we will go right into our conversation. So you've done a lot. And when we talked, I was just trying to get a grasp of, timelines with you. And I want to really explain the timeline to our audience so they understand kind of where we are in the time scale. So before 1971, and I use that as an important marker, and we'll learn why a little bit later, audience. But before 1971, you grew up in Tucson. You were between
Arkansas.
In Arkansas, and then you moved to Tucson.
Yeah.
And then you were between
Tucson in 11th grade.
Yep. And then LA.
Yeah. And went to Tucson High.
Right.
And then realized I was in dummy English.
Right.
But they gave me a diploma, and I was able to go to the next level.
Yeah, it got you somewhere. So then you went to live with family in LA.
Right.
And then you went back to Arizona.
I went to LA Junior College for a year, and saw things I'd never seen before. I'd never been in a pool hall. They had a pool hall across from LA Junior College.
Yeah.
And I would end up in there just fascinated.
Right.
And then I didn't do so well, so I go back to Tucson and go to the University of Arizona.
Right.
Have a lot of friends from there. And then a year and a half later, I'm not doing that well. The dean calls me in. He says, next semester. I was like, Dean, do you a favor today. I'm gone. Checked out. Left and went back to play.
So left college.
Mm-hmm.
And then when did you start working at Jack in the Box? Immediately after that?
Yep.
Okay. So immediately after that, and you started at the grill at Jack in the Box, and then you worked your way up to assistant
washing windows.
Washing windows.
Yeah.
And so the grill was the upgrade.
Yeah.
Okay, got you.
So from the grill to management.
Got it.
Management out the door, and then fell in love with it.
Exactly. So yeah, you fell in love with fast food and cooking, which is great, because I remember you saying that you really fell in love with fast food and the whole business while you were at Jack in the Box.
Right.
And what I found interesting is the other point, and kind of another timeline piece here, is 1968 when Martin Luther King was shot. Right. So we talked a little bit about that and how you went from Jack in the Box to actually becoming a McDonald's franchise owner. And you were mentioning that in 1968, what was going on? Right.
He was assassinated. By 1971, McDonald's didn't have any franchise operators, and Push and
that were black.
That were black.
Right.
And so there was a Reverend Rabbit they had put one or two in Chicago, operators, black operators, but in 71, a guy named Reverend Rabbit in Cleveland, Ohio, started to burn down the McDonald's restaurants in the black community. And what their philosophy was, if we can't own them in our community, you don't need to be here.
Got it.
And so that's how they started letting. So I flew from LA to New York, met some friends that had friends in Cleveland, went and met a guy named Bob Beavers, who was the highest black in McDonald's at that particular time. and then went back to LA, and they were looking for franchisees.
Yeah. But you faced a few challenges, correct?
Correct.
So we talked a little bit about some of the challenges that you faced. So just to bring everybody to the timeline, we were at Jack in the Box. He was in management. He wanted to get out of management and kind of become an owner in something, and you loved the industry. McDonald's didn't have anyone in that was didn't have many people that were Black franchise owners. And so, a couple years go by, you make some connections here and there. You talk to the highest ranking Black. You're ready to own a McDonald's, but you come into obstacles. We talked about a couple obstacles. One being you had to be married to own a McDonald's, and then you also had to have a significant amount of money to own a McDonald's as well.
Right.
Both obstacles.
They had a plan. They had a leasing plan that my partner Brad Hubbard and I went in under, and he was married and had played pro football. He was playing pro football, so that was a corporate image thing,
right?
And so they gave us the opportunity for Philadelphia, Boston, and Atlanta. We chose Atlanta.
Why Atlanta?
He was from Alabama and I was from Arkansas. I know how to deal with white America. I know how to say yes, sir, and no, no, ma'am. Okay.
Right.
When we came to Atlanta, we knew zero people, and we met all the powers that be, because the store we opened in the West End was in the height of the Black community.
Right. And that was your first McDonald's location.
Right.
Okay. So that's really interesting. And then during this time, so in 1971, you and your partner opened the first McDonald's franchise in Atlanta, owned by Black people, one of the first in the Southern states. This is a really big deal, and we even talked about the mayor coming to your ribbon cutting at that time.
Vice mayor. Maynard was vice mayor.
Maynard was vice mayor. Okay, at this time.
Yep.
And so he came to your ribbon cutting.
Was mayor.
Okay. And Maynard Jackson, being vice mayor at this time, came to your ribbon cutting. You developed a relationship with him. And also during your time as a McDonald's franchise owner, you began to do things in the community and start really like expanding your personal brand as someone that contributes a lot to the community. So my question is, do you believe that successful people have to participate in community service? Do you think there's an obligation for successful people to do that?
Hell yeah.
You do?
Yeah. I mean, how you gonna live in a community and not participate? That to me, that just doesn't make sense. We had things like Maynard came to me. There were 23 counties in the state of Georgia that had 60% Black representation. And he asked me to help raise money to run that.
Right.
We were able to, about a 3-year period, we were able to change that around where we were able to get some Black representation. But my thing is, we have to take care of business. That's why I don't like doing these talk shows, because I be wanting to tell the truth.
Tell the truth. We like the truth.
Well, you go back and look at our history of us taking care of business, and it's not there.
Yeah.
Part of it is on us. Auburn Avenue should not look like it looks right today.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I came here, it did not look like that. People
right.
Went down there. The business people, the next generation that came on after that, zero.
So that's interesting, because I feel like there's a conversation that is starting to happen, and at least between old and new Atlanta, about what old Atlanta wants new Atlanta to do. And I think it's really interesting because you have some really strong perspectives on this.
You look at all these new buildings and all that around Atlanta.
Yeah.
I drive down Martin Luther King and start at downtown and go all the way to 285. I can prove to you that 90% of all the commercial real estate is owned by some people in Buckhead. I'd be willing to bet my little finger on that right this second.
Mm-hmm.
That shouldn't be. We should have owned that.
Right.
We should be
Right.
leasing to the post office. We should be leasing to whoever that wants to come out there and rent. We have AAA tenants, the grocery stores, Kroger's, Publix, all that come and lease. And McDonald's, they lease a lot of their sites. We don't own them, somebody else owns them.
So this is an important piece where we're talking about ownership and minority ownership, because I think what we talked about with what Maynard Jackson and his administration helped do once he did become mayor, what they helped do with the airport was really put Black people in a position to own something and to have a stake in something that would forever be a cash cow in the city. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So with that,
But
yeah,
you can get locations in the airport that you can't make money on. All of them don't make money. That needs to be clear. Okay.
got it.
So you can get a location. You have two locations on two different concourses, and they at the end of the concourses, and you as a customer then pass 5, 7, 8 more restaurants. By the time they get to you,
You don't want to, yeah.
and if you run in a bar, if you're not in the mix,
Right. You're gonna get missed. So, but what it did do is it at least positioned people like yourself to take advantage of an opportunity. And what you did is really you were able to benefit from this minority positioning that Maynard Jackson's administration helped with. So,
exactly.
yeah, and so for our audience, essentially what happened was when the airport was in one particular place, as Maynard Jackson's administration actually, I mean, literally moved the airport into a different location and began to set this airport up for Black businesses, there was a percentage of the businesses, as I understand it, in the Atlanta airport that had to have a minority partnership or be owned by minorities, correct?
Correct.
And so you actually were able to attach yourself to a partner to actually enter in the airport in 1980.
Yeah, but if I'd wanted to go the other route and I didn't have a McDonald's, I could have went in that way also.
Right.
Operated.
Right. So, but you went the route of working with Paradise and working with their retail location. So this was even outside of food service. So you were still owning your external McDonald's locations, and then you got into the airport in 1980, managing and owning retail locations in the airport.
Right.
Okay. So talk to us about that experience, because I'm really interested in that partnership and how you were able to notice an opportunity and attach yourself to Paradise. How did you all connect?
We were both very involved here in the city.
Yeah.
Each other, and he needed me and I needed him to go in on that side. So we came together as partners and became friends and ran the business.
Yeah. And so you were running your external McDonald's locations. You had 4 locations. You were continuing to make money and build your brand there in the community. You were also managing retail locations in the airport. So you were running 2 different fully, operational businesses at this point, many different businesses if you look at each McDonald's location as a business. And then you were also continuing to run these retail locations. So then from the period from 1980 to 1992, it feels like a lot of growth and change happened within your company. And with also personally.
Right.
We talked a little bit about a trial that happened here in Atlanta that you all were a part of, but I bring that up not to kind of go into the details there, but really to talk about the struggle of an entrepreneur and how you get above things that may happen that may be bumps in the road. And so I want to talk.
That was a bump in the road there was a jealousy. Someone was trying to stick somebody else up that pulled a lot of other people in, and and that person ended up not winning. And I don't know where they are now, but then that you don't see them, no credibility,
Yeah.
and they didn't win. They were trying to stick somebody else up. And that goes back to us in our community, how we come at each other's, one of our fellow persons that in the political service, and you throw them on the bus, that throws a lot of other people on the bus. I was
Yeah.
blessed not to get my toes ran over.
Right, right. So what did you learn from that experience?
Don't trust nobody.
Really?
Yeah.
So you still keep that today?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Trust very few or no one?
I mean, very, very, very few.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because another thing I would say. I've seen so much mistrust, even down the small shit. Somebody needs X dollars, and you let them have it, and then they like, okay, I can't pay you.
Right.
Or it's just a lot of stuff is on us,
Yeah.
because of our credibility and how we
follow through or don't.
right.
Yeah. 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 Understandable. So then when we get to, so you go through that, you learn a lot about trust. And then when we get to 1992, it's time for you to pack up with McDonald's. What sparked that decision?
Well, McDonald's said I was too hot because of the trial. I was on the front page of the paper for 21 days. So they bought me out, which was fine. So then I ended up I went to H.J. Russell, he was a prime at the airport. He had a chicken location. He said, I'll give you this location.
Right.
And I go to Auburn Avenue and meet the chairman of Popeyes, and ask him for a franchise. And he gave me the opportunity to put a franchise in the airport.
I didn't know that H.J. Russell actually offered you the location as the.
He was a prime.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then,
I did that, and I did an Edie's ice cream. I had 2 locations.
Right.
Yeah. And
so you met the chairman of Popeyes on Auburn Avenue, which is great. Then you pitched the idea to him, and
yeah, I had the money. I had the experience. I wasn't going to no school because I'd been trained by Ray Kroc.
Right.
And asked for a deal, and we shook hands. Next day, I go to the office. We start building.
Yeah, and for those of us that don't know, Ray Kroc is made famous because of McDonald's and what he did for the McDonald's company. He really took a family company and built it up and grew it.
Right. He was selling machines that did milkshakes.
Right.
In Chicago, and they asked him. So they wanted to buy 2 or 3 because of their volume out in Riverside, California.
Right.
He got in his car and drove from Chicago all the way out there to see this operation. Saw it, and the rest is history.
Mm-hmm. And you learned about the food service industry from the famous Ray Kroc.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So you told the chairman of Popeyes that you weren't going to his school. You knew everything that you needed to know, and you had a chicken restaurant in the Atlanta airport, and he needed to jump on this opportunity.
I had a opportunity to put a chicken, because what it does, what airports, they set up brands, a hamburger brand, chicken brand, might be ice cream, might be a bar.
Right.
It was like Atlanta bread. When I came along with my location, they didn't have they didn't do liquor. But the location I have in Atlanta Airport, it had liquor as a part of it. So the chairman came to me and said, "We want to be in the airport. We will do a little tweaking on our menus from soups and salads, throw in some wings, a hamburger, and fries, and let you have a bar, but we want it to be Atlanta bred." It helped them on marketing. They were an Atlanta-based company. They are looking to grow their brand. I did that. We cut a deal. Bam.
Nice. And so this was the first Popeyes in the airport, in an airport, period.
Period. Yeah.
Period. So okay, so you pitched to the chairman of Popeyes. You told him you weren't going to his class. You said I have an opportunity, jump on it. You guys cut a deal right there. And then what happened? So from the time you pitched him that deal to when you opened up in the airport, what's the time?
Probably 90 days.
Really? From pitch to open?
We were getting ready. Yeah, we were getting ready for the Olympics, and just show you how life can go. I opened up, and in 18 days later, the concourse went dark. And what I mean by that is the airline value jet that was on there went down in Florida, and the federal government closed them down. So I was right near the spine of the airport.
Got it.
And so I stayed open, but I went out and marketed to all of the people that work on the tarmac, because being badged and hoping I passed out flyers to all of that, to those people, so that they could know that we were there, because this was a very short, I think it was 18 days after we had opened.
Wow.
So I get the employees on every concourse to know about Popeyes, that we were there. It worked.
Right.
We were able to stay open. We were the only somebody on that concourse able to stay open and continue and never go down.
Wow. So then, okay, first Popeyes in an airport. So we're talking about a lot of firsts here. How did you grow it? And what do you think is the secret to the success of growing this from just another Popeyes location to the #1 Popeyes in the world?
Oh, it was easy. It's easy. We had breakfast starting at 6:30 in the morning till 11. You know, that we had a great biscuit. So I went to corporate. They let me add grits, hash browns, sausage, bacon, and chicken. We had chicken and biscuit back then. People were buying chicken and biscuit.
Yeah.
And so I was doing as much by lunch, by 11 o'clock, as most stores were doing on the streets all day. And they didn't open till 10:30.
Wow. Okay. So you opened up another time slot and another opportunity to make money.
Right.
Got it. Okay.
All airport stores, you need to have that, because people are there at 6:30 in the morning getting this, a 7 o'clock flight.
Right. Right. And during this time when you opened the Popeyes, were you still, so you were out of the McDonald's business. Were you out of the Paradise business at this point? Was it just the Popeyes business that you were focused on?
Paradise. I was still in the Paradise.
Oh, you were still in Paradise. Okay, so you were still with Paradise at this point. So you've had a lot of firsts. I mean, first you opened up the first Popeyes in the airport ever. You became the #1 restaurant globally. You became one of the first.
I had #1 and
number two. Right.
For years.
Right. Where was the #2 location? In the other one in the airport?
Yeah.
Okay. So we like chicken in Atlanta.
No, white folks like chicken too.
No, I'm saying in Atlanta. In Atlanta.
But it's not Atlanta. That's an international airport. We had people from all over the world that were coming through there that was buying, and still do.
Right. So when people touch down in the airport, it's something about, and we were seeing some tweets that talked about your Popeyes actually. They said it hit a little different.
One of the famous guys that died a couple of years ago. I wish I had his quote. I almost put it up on the wall. He didn't come through the airport. He was a famous chef,
Mm-hmm.
that he would come through every time. And his teams, he was a he was a news guy. Mm-hmm.
Would come through the Popeyes all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting. So you found, what were you saying?
He wouldn't come to the airport without coming to Popeyes. That's what
Ah,
his team said.
okay. So with all of these firsts, what has been your greatest accomplishment business-wise?
Just I enjoy what I do, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I
It's
mean, I'm probably one of few people in Atlanta that has ever seen Mr. Woodard's bathtub at the Coca-Cola building. Okay,
uh-oh.
bam,
That's deep. That's deep.
yeah. When
How
they
did
were,
you see that one?
huh?
How did you see that?
Well, I had the interesting. They asked me to do vending for the Coca-Cola family,
Right.
and um, I mean for the Coca-Cola company, and they had to show me around, um, and I was touring, and I had a chance to see his bathtub. He had a
Oh,
bath.
okay.
If you can
Nice,
believe it.
nice. So we talked a little bit about the opportunities that Black people were able to get by being positioned specifically for certain locations in the airport, which was going to be great, and which you were able to take advantage of. And so we were able to kind of create that ownership funnel that you have like really grown
Let's
from.
stop right there. Let's stop right there. Let me show you what
Okay.
happened. You had some people like me that had food experience.
Right.
Had food experience. You had other people that didn't have food experience that came in and have done somewhat of a good job, but at the same time, they haven't been completely successful.
Right.
And some, it's like Mr. Russell. He, after the airport opened up, even though he did construction, he came in and set up a food and started doing food. He bid it, and then he went to LA and started uh, a restaurant out there, and then he came back to Atlanta and had a whole concourse. And then under that prime, he had to have subs, and that's where we all work together of putting people in position.
Yeah. Yeah. Putting people in position to succeed. Precisely.
Yeah.
So
But
was he one of
but
the
they
icons?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who are some of your other business icons?
He would probably be number one. He is number one icon on business for us.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to think about that.
Yeah. He is definitely on my wish list. If he were to be with us, I would love to chat with him as well. And I'm always curious to know who successful people in business look up to as well. So that's why I wanted to ask that question. But you've been connected politically since you moved to Atlanta. You've hosted 3 presidents, a presidential hopeful, I'm sure a ton of other people. And sometimes the feedback is from my generation and those younger that neither of the political parties that are put in front of us are really serving our needs. And there's been a lot of talk about.
So what do you all want them to do for you?
So I think there's a lot of talk around healthcare. Obviously, is a big one. I'm going to speak for myself and people that are in kind of a creative situation like me. So healthcare is paramount to me, making sure that that's like number one, and which that's a topic of discussion. Another one would be education. I don't think that people need to pay for public education. I think the large amounts of debt that younger generations are saddled with it's so prohibitive to the financial success that we'd like to experience that sometimes it prohibits people from getting there and discourages people. So I think anything that really kind of impedes that success is going to be a topic of discussion. So particularly healthcare, education, home ownership, things like this.
But you talk about home ownership right there.
Yeah.
And when I look and drive down um, Holloway, which was
Yeah.
Bankport, and I look at the homes over there that when I moved here, the yard was well kept.
Yeah.
And so, you're going to get a very negative from me that we pass things on and we don't keep them up. And I offline gave you some, I gave you
Yeah.
some,
Yeah.
and so, um, I mean, it's work to keep stuff up, and you got to keep your head on straight and take care of business. You got to pay for insurance. You got to pay and make sure that your home is kept up. If it's not kept
Yeah.
up, what do you have?
Yeah. So I guess my question is, do you think that, I mean, there's even been talk of starting a new political party that may address some of those direct issues. Do you have any thoughts of
No,
if
we need to take the ones now and make them work. Because to go and start and you split it up again, then you got three different. I don't see that working at all.
so you think we need to take the engine, take the cards we've been dealt and refine them to what we
Yeah,
want?
right.
Mm-hmm.
And you do that by getting involved and getting the people there to understand and be on the understanding side before you sign up with them. But then making sure that they don't change on you too, because that
Yeah.
happens. That happens a hell of a lot
Holding them
in our,
accountable.
in our community. I'm talking about
Yeah.
just in our community. I ain't talking about nobody else's community. I'm talking about in our community.
Yeah, yeah. So someone that's like me and may not have the political astuteness or the connections that you have in a particular party, how would you suggest that we kind of make
Well, but let's just take the city of Atlanta, Fulton
Yeah,
County. Let's don't even talk about the state or federal. It's being able to sit down with the powers that be so they can understand what you're thinking, you can understand what they're thinking. If you start on that level, then you grow it to the state level, then the United States. But you got to start at the city level.
start locally. Yeah,
And and
yeah,
and, and that is very much needed, I think.
yeah. Yeah, I do think we do need to put a lot of emphasis on local politics because those are really the people that make decisions that affect us on a day-to-day basis. Right? Right. We're even seeing the way a lot of the mandates federally are implemented.
Yeah, but if you're sitting down with them every month or every quarter, and you all are talking about where you are, where you want to go, that's the only way you can really make it work.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's break down your businesses where we are now. So you have Mac 2, which is your food service management company.
Right.
And you're at the airport, at your 9 airport locations, the 2 Popeyes, the Atlanta bread, Famiglia Pizza, everything under that. You have MWJ LLC, the vending company that manages the Coca-Cola machines.
Yeah. No, it's a partnership with Coke.
Partnership. That's the partnership with Coca-Cola.
Right.
For where you all manage them, they own the product, I guess.
No, we own the location. It's a joint venture.
Okay, a joint venture with them. And then you have your angel investment firm that invests in small businesses that need a little extra kick.
And real estate, mainly real estate.
And real estate. So we're talking 4 different businesses currently with a lot of different subsidiaries under them, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how many people do you employ?
We were at 400 at one time.
Yeah. Yeah. 400 people that you're employing throughout the city of Atlanta, all around, which is really, really interesting. And then how do you or your team select the companies that you're going to invest in from your investment company?
Uh, I don't know. I guess I went to sleep a few times. Because I haven't seen anything come back.
Nothing's been coming back yet?
Right.
Okay, okay. So
It's really hard trying to um, share and be partners and all and listen to people. I mean, I'm like done, done. I mean,
done with partnerships.
yeah.
Yeah. So are you done investing or just done with partnering?
Only gonna invest in me.
You're
Pretty
only
much.
going to invest in you.
I won't say that. I won't say that because I just did an investment last week with a real good friend, but the team. Because let me tell you what I find a lot of times in our community, they have a good idea, da da da, but managing it is
Right,
is is where the problem
right.
keeps it.
So if someone were to present an idea to you, first of all, would you be open or are you done with that?
I'm pretty much done. I got a lot of investments, and I'm just tired. I'm tired
Yeah,
of.
yeah. That's understandable. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on. It was, you were extremely hard to get on the books.
Well, yeah.
That's how it is when you're a boss.
Well, I mean, I have to hold my tongue because sometimes some of the things I want to say that people are going to be looking at me funny later, but
Well,
it, it would be the truth though. I
right.
I have been I've been close up on and kept my ear to the ground since I moved here. And what I was saying earlier is some of the people early on, uh, from the politicians like city council, the mayor, the whole bit. It used to be more camaraderie where we sit down and talk, and you knew what was coming down the pipe. You knew where their head was on something, and they would listen to you.
Got it.
When the last time you sit down with, where do you live?
Where do I live now?
Your city councilman. Do you know your city councilman?
I just moved, so I don't know my new city
Okay,
council.
what about your county person that runs the county that you live in?
You know what? Yeah, I'm in Fulton County. I'm in Fulton County,
I know it, but there's a council person that is designated to your.
designated for my district. I'm embarrassed that I don't know that person's name.
Okay, so but I'm saying as you moved in the neighborhood and what you're doing, if you could know and talk to them and see what their philosophies and how they are managing your money, because you pay Fulton County taxes.
I
I
do.
do pay the city taxes, and your city councilman. You need to know what they're thinking and what their plan is for your neighborhood.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. No, I do think it's important that everyone know, including myself, what's going on in local government. Um, so we have a few questions, and I want to make sure we get to those because there are some really good questions and very pointed that people have asked you. Number one, uh, what responsibilities should African Americans who own businesses do to help mentor other young people who own a franchise or start a business to keep building? So basically, what responsibilities do we have as those who own businesses? How can we help, I guess, bring up the next generation and continue to keep building our own?
Over the years, I have worked in the McDonald's. That was one of the coolest things about the McDonald Corporation. that the black operators did when we started, when we came in. Me and Brad was number 8
In the total company.
whole total company in the
Right.
whole United States. But when we got up to about 20 guys and ladies, we would get together quarterly or either semi-annually and talk about issues. But if an operator was in trouble because you have field people come in and investigate you or do an inspection, if you're failing and about to get put out of the system, because McDonald's will put your ass out, um, we would come in and help. We would fly in at our own expense and help that operator.
Got it. So there was a community even amongst a tight knit community.
The National Black McDonald Operators Association was one of the best groups and fraternities you ever wanted to live and be a part of. Some of those people are still some of my best friends that we were in early on, and we would fly in on our own dime and help you turn your operation around.
Oh wow. So there was a sense of community there.
It was very much a community, and
Yeah.
that started
Yeah.
and made happen.
So it sounds like what I'm hearing is the responsibility is on us, and and we're responsible to create a community within that can support each other and help it grow.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So notice a problem, create a community around it that can start to be
somebody has a problem, they call up and say, I have a problem. I'm not able to pass the test. Come show me how to pass and get my stores where I can stay in the system. And that's what we would do.
Right. Okay. We have another question. You've spoken about the fact that we need to do better as a community of maintaining and growing businesses from generation to generation. Can you speak to? Yeah.
Go ahead.
Can you speak to some of the steps that you've taken to ensure that your businesses continue to flourish after you retire?
No, because I'm gonna bump them.
You're gonna bump them?
Yeah.
Really? What do you mean by that?
Sale.
Okay. Is that new news, or is this like a known thing?
It's a known thing. It's old.
Okay.
It's I would say at this stage in life, what I've seen, it's impossible to. I'm on an interview. I'll call you back.
You're an important man. You were saying you're going to sell your businesses.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that totally. But when you look around, I can go down the name of the business. I can't think of one business in Atlanta right now, black business, that would really continue at a high level. That would probably be Bonner Brothers.
What you mean after the founder passes on? What do you think we can do to solve that? Is it about creating a succession plan when you're there?
You can do a succession plan, but people have to, the next generation have to want it like you and be able to come in and work it like you.
Right.
And I have not seen, I can't name you 5 minority companies in Atlanta that I would say. I mean, you look, Atlanta Life, gone. He was a barber, cutting white folks' hair, but he saved up enough money to start an insurance company.
We're talking about Alonzo Herndon. We talked to Henrietta Antonine, who was a part of that company. Yep.
Right. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Citizens Trust Bank is still going, but you know, I don't know.
Yeah. So Okay. Well, that's an interesting perspective. So your perspective as a business owner, as a prominent business owner, is if you can't find someone with the zeal, the passion to do it that you feel is up to the standard of where you are, then you need to liquidate them.
Right.
Got it. Well, you know what? We've seen a lot of really cool businesses that are coming up.
Like
Yeah, black. Yeah, black.
black. Give me two.
Okay, one, Slutty Vegan.
Mhm.
I think, are you familiar with Slutty Vegan?
Very much.
Yeah, so Slutty Vegan, I think, is going to be a great business. And Pinky Cole over there has actually just opened her Edgewood store. I think they're really going to be super exciting. Hairbrella, which is it's a hair protective company that actually is an umbrella essentially for your hair. It's for ladies to keep their hair intact during the rain or inclement weather. That's a Black Atlanta grown company, female, both of those female led companies that are really showing great trajectory. And I think what we're trying to do and we're starting to see is a community here in Atlanta of entrepreneurs of my generation and younger that are actually rallying around each other and supporting each other, to your point. And I hope that's something that we can continue and maybe formalize it in a way that I think you're speaking about.
Yeah, or just taking care of business.
Or just take care of business, yeah.
Yeah, that's to me is the bottom line.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think this is that you shed a lot of light on that and really kind of letting us know some of your concerns. I think as a business owner from another generation, kind of what you want.
But if you take and go to a North Side Drive and go from there to uh, used to be Ashley, but it's Joseph Lowry. If you just take that stretch right there, including the colleges and the whole bit, I mean, I can tell you some stories that, I mean, Pascal's, the hotel over there.
Mm-hmm.
When I moved here, that was top of the line. Next generation, gone. Right?
Yeah.
And the restaurants down that street then, Busy Bee, is still there, but it kind of still looks like I saw it in 1971, and this is 2000.
20,
Right?
yeah. Yeah.
So explain that.
Yeah. So I mean, we could talk about this all day. I think this is a really interesting conversation, but
We don't need to talk about it. We need to do something about it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the problem.
yeah.
Talking about it is that's why I don't talk.
You just do.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Well, Mr. Wilbourn, I have one last question for you, and you've impacted so many people. You've done so much.
I haven't done.
What you've impacted a lot of people. Everyone. I mean, pictures with presidents all around the home. It's a nice location. But my question to you is, you've impacted so many people. What gives you wings?
What do you mean?
What's your motivation to keep going?
I enjoy what I do. If I don't enjoy it, I don't do it. And I like doing good things, great things, period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll stop.
Okay. Good.
All right. Everybody. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Wilbourn, for the time. Really, really appreciate it. Everyone, thank you for joining Sweet Auburn Stories.